Energy Ministry is considering a couple of options to prevent the taxi drivers from being default under the Energy Credit Card program. Although the program has been introduced for only 4 months, there's a sign that several million of baht may be bad debts. When Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra introduced the project in January this year, she said that this project is designed to help taxi drivers cushion the impact from the rising cost of living and the rising cost of fuel. So do you think that this project has been serving its purpose?
When the government introduced this project, it said that it wants to help taxi driver when they need to fill their tanks and they are short of money. But the thing is, credit means borrowing, and whoever uses the credit card will have to pay for whatever they spend on the cards. This has led to the problem that you just mentioned. We have seen an alarming amount of bad debt among taxi drivers.
Yes, in the first month alone, I think 10% of the debts has become default.
Right.
So why the government has to introduce this project, even though we have seen the rising of the oil prices many times before?
Taxi drivers, they are one of the 3 major groups that are political strongholds of this Pheu Thai-led government. The other 2 groups being the farmers and factory workers. These 2 groups have been benefiting from populist policies of this government already. The farmers have been given this debt suspension assistance from the government, and also some kind of subsidy of the farm produce. And also factory workers, they have been given minimum wage hike, which is being given in several provinces in Thailand already. This leaves us the last group of major political supporters of the government, taxi drivers.
Yes, it's quite ironic that the government policy to increase the minimum wage and provide the farm subsidy have resulted to the rising cost of living for the taxi driver.
Yes, taxi drivers, they are suffering from the rising cost of living, and they are making a lot of complaint about it. Whereas the people who have not yet complained about the rising cost of living are maybe farmers and also factory workers.
Yes. But it's quite interesting, even though the taxi drivers already receive the benefit from this project, but the project doesn't seem to be helpful. And some taxi drivers did not understand fully what the project is about. That's why the government is considering a couple of options to prevent more defaults. For instance, the government plans to extend the repayment period from 30 days to 45 days.
Yes.
And the government also considering whether to merge the energy credit card with the farmer's credit card. But essentially the transfer or the merge of the 2 cards will simply transfer the burden, the financial burden from the oil funds, which finances the energy credit card project at the moment, to the Bank for Agriculture and Agricultural Cooperative.
Right. From one government pocket to another government pocket.
So do you think that is there any lesson learned from this project?
The most important thing is that the government has to be very, very careful when implementing this kind of populist programs, especially when the government is also planning to give the similar credit cards to farmers, although not in the whole of the country, only in a few provinces, but a program is in place to give a similar kind of credit card to farmers. So the government has to be very careful and implement education program to teach whoever receive the card to be very careful when using them, and to have financial discipline when using them. And also there could be some kind of confusion as well. The government is having debit card program also. The difference between debit card and credit card is that debit card you use the card, government pay for it, and the credit card, you use a card and you have to be responsible for it. Debit card could be given to people under the so-called Women Fund program. We still don't know who will be given the card, but it's already in place. So the government has to be very careful to avoid confusion.
But eventually, it may not matter whether the debit card or credit card in this case, because it's the tax money that has to subsidize this project.